Well, welcome to the final podcast of this series of the most surprising things about the birth of Jesus. And today, day 7, we close the series with one of the most profound and overlooked truths of the Nativity. The Messiah begins his life as a refugee. And this episode is entitled That the Messiah Becomes a Refugee. Because the story of Jesus doesn't pause at the manger. It moves quickly into danger, displacement, and divine protection. And in the final surprising twist, we see just how deeply God chooses to enter into our human experience. The night may have been still in Bethlehem, but trouble was already approaching. After the Magi's visit, an angel appears to Joseph in a dream and says, "Get up and take your child and his mother, flee to Egypt. Herod is searching for the child to kill him." Joseph doesn't hesitate. He wakes Mary up. They gather of the little that they have, and before dawn break, they slip quietly out of Bethlehem. No celebration, no stable scene, no visiting shepherds. Just fear, urgency, a young family running for their lives. This is not how we usually imagine the early days of Jesus' life, but this is the real story. The Messiah's first recorded journey is one of escape, flight, and survival. Let's pause and consider the significance of where they fled. To Jewish ears, they might meant something heavy. Egypt was the land of Israel's ancient oppression, the place of slavery and suffering, and a symbol of foreign rule and hardship. And yet, God sends his Son there for safety. Why? Because God is rewriting the story. Long ago, Israel came out of Egypt. Now the Messiah goes into Egypt. Matthew's Gospel connects this escape to prophecy. Out of Egypt I called my son. Jesus is recapitulating the history of Israel, living the story over again, fulfilling it and redeeming it. But practically speaking, this journey was grueling. The Holy Family travelled roughly 70 to 100 miles through desert roads and dangerous terrain, with no guarantees of shelter, protection, or resource. They enter a foreign land with different customs, languages, and gods. They survive as immigrants, outsiders, and refugees. This is astonishing. The Saviour of the world spends his early childhood dependent on the hospitality of another nation. This part of the Nativity tells us something profoundly comforting and profoundly challenging about Jesus. We often think of him as mighty, powerful, miraculous, and yes, he is all of those things. But before any of those, he was vulnerable. He knows what it feels like to be unsafe, to be unwanted by those in power, having to flee danger, and dependent on strangers, crossing borders to survive, and being part of a displaced family. When we look at suffering in the world, war, famine, displacement, fear, Jesus is not distant from those realities. He has lived them. He has walked the road of the refugee. He understands the hearts of the marginalized, and he identifies with the oppressed before he ever preaches a sermon. And in doing so, he shows us something essential about the character of God. God does not rescue from a distance. God enters the struggle himself. After some time in Egypt, another angel appears to Joseph. Herod is dead. It is safe to return. But even then, it's not simple. Joseph learns that Herod's son, Archelaus, is now ruling Judah, and Archelaus was known to be just as violent as his father. So instead of returning to Bethlehem, Joseph leads his family north, back to Nazareth, the humble village where it all began. Nothing about this journey is glamorous. Nothing is predictable. And nothing is linear. The early life of Jesus is marked by turbulence, danger, and divine guidance. And what does that tell us? That God is present, not only in our triumphant moments, but in our uncertainty, our moving, our restarting, our fleeing, and our finding new ground. The Messiah knows instability, and having walked in it, he walks with us in ours. This surprising final detail of the Nativity teaches us three powerful truths: not just birth, not just poverty, but displacement, danger, fear, and vulnerability. He didn't skip the hardest parts of being human. He lived them. A dream, a detour, a foreign land, an unlikely survival. God's guidance may not always look comfortable, but it is always faithful. And Jesus does not begin among the comfortable. He begins amongst the endangered. And this is a Saviour who we can trust with our fears. This is a King who understands our suffering. And this is a Messiah who has walked the road of desperation. So as we finished this 7-day journey, we see that the Nativity for what it truly is: a story full of beauty and hardship, wonder and danger, humility and glory, surprising and after surprise. And from the Virgin Mother to a freedom trail, the shepherd to the foreign magi, from a raging king to a refugee child, the birth of Jesus overturns every expectation, and in every twist, God whispers, I am with you. In your ordinary moments, in your unexpected detours, in your fear, in your weakness, in your wandering, I am with you. So thank you for joining me on this series. It's been an honor to walk with you through the surprising, stunning story of Jesus' birth. And may these truths continue to deepen your wonder, expand your faith, and draw you closer to the one who came so far to be near us.